Welcome to your Veterans Resource Podcast, Return to Roots. This podcast is for service members and their family members regarding retention, transition, and reintegration from active duty to veterans in the community. Hi, I'm your host, Chris Elder, an active duty senior chief in the United States Navy, and my partner in crime slash host is Yogi Hernandez, who's an active duty chief in the Navy. Together, we are documenting our experiences as we prepare to transition and reintegrate into the community. Every podcast will have actionable content that will benefit American service members and their families, as well as those who have already transitioned and reintegrated. Welcome to today's Return to Roots Mill to Vet podcast special episode with the CEO and founder of 1st&Goal project, Dave DesRochers, where they help both veterans and NFL players find jobs in manufacturing, trades, and other growing industries. Time sensitive information is the 1st&Goal project golf tournament that's happening March 20th, 2023 at the Coto de Caza. Hey, Dave, thanks for coming on the podcast, man. I'm not only a Seahawk fan, but I'm also a MVP fan as well. The movie MVP that came out, that was phenomenal, man. It was thanks to you and your 1st&Goal project that brought that movie to my life. Yogi and I were able to attend that viewing, and it was awesome. How did you get involved with MVP?
Well, boy, it's funny because when people ask me about the golf tournament MVP, the 1st&Goal project, it's just this web of things that just spiraled into this. I don't know. I'm very blessed. It's been awesome. How I met Nate was this: is that it was proposed to me to do a golf tournament, which we'll talk about, and I thought, well, okay, let's think about it. And we got a chance to go to Coto, and Coto de Caza is a private course, very expensive. We went over there to meet with them, and come to find out, my fraternity brother Kevin Sale is the general manager, and so we got a really nice price, and so I'm like, hey, this okay, this is cool. And then I thought, well, I'm a 2 year, guy with the Seahawks. I was there 88 and 89, played a couple of years in Montreal. Yeah, I'm not going to be a huge draw, but I know some people. So I reached out to Anthony Munoz, Hall of Famer, one of the best, if not the best left tackle to ever play the game. And he said, "Sure, Dave, I'd be happy to be your honorary host." And I thought, okay, cool. That's the celebrity side, but there's a celebrity and veteran golf invitational. So I thought I would like to really have a veteran, co-host. And I see this picture of Nate Boyer, Seattle Seahawks, running onto the field holding an American flag. And I sort him out, and I see he's Green Beret, 6 years, Iraq and Afghanistan. Comes home, walks on to University of Texas. So if you guys are football guys, UT is not a place you walk on to if you've never, and he's never played before. Walks on, makes the team, and they get scholarship the following year. And then once he's done, I think it was the oldest rookie ever, 30 something years old, was a free agent to the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm like, that's my veteran. I got to figure out how to reach him. And so I reach out to my buddies that have networks of people. I say, hey, do you know Nate Boyer? And they say, oh, here's his email. And I got it from two different people. I'm typing up this big letter. Hey, I'm Dave DesRochers. I played with the Seahawks, doing this thing for veterans. Man, I'd love to have you, this whole deal. And it's the craziest thing, guys. I'm on a veteran Zoom, and I'm explaining what I'm doing. And I say, oh, yeah, I reached out to Nate Boyer. And this vet, Thomas West, who has Operation Outside the Lines, a coffee company in Arizona. Oh, Nate, he's my buddy. I'll text him. So I had just before the Zoom, I hit send on this email. He's texting Nate, and while I'm on the Zoom, I get this response from Nate. Hey, bro, I'm in. So, and then so we connected. We went and saw a UCLA game together. Just started talking. He lives here in LA, and I'm in Southern California. And he goes, "Hey, you should host a viewing of my movie." And I thought, oh, that would be cool. So we rented out the, Laguna Hills movie theater. I invited, about 40 or so plus veterans. We had some of my friends and sponsors and about 9 former players. And we all got to sit, maybe shed a tear or two through this intense movie that depicts what both veterans and former NFL players deal with when they're transitioning out. Not all go through that, but man, far too many do.
Yeah, that
So
movie was like really really good, man. And
Mm.
the emotions that I felt while I was in there, and to my side, I had fellow NFL players, or not fellow, but I had NFL players and I had fellow veterans to
Uh-huh.
my other side, and it was just like everybody was in there watching this movie, and there was not a dry eye
Right.
during that movie. Everybody felt the impact of what that movie's message was, and it was definitely an amazing experience.
For sure.
so I'm gonna tell you, Chris tells me, he's like, "Hey, there's this thing going on. It's pretty far away. You want to go?" And I was like, "You know what? Let's do it." So we just got in the car. We left over there. We went there. I had no idea where we were going, and we got there. I was, hanging in the background, and I got to meet you. I honestly had no idea who you were, right? And
Mhm.
I got to meet other people who I had no idea who anybody was, right? And I'm just like sitting there like the clueless kid in the classroom. We watched the movie, and oh my God, that movie resonated so much with everything that I'm personally going through right now
Mm.
in through my transition, and a lot of things. And I was like, wow, this is super intense. Like, this was meant to be, right? And then at the end of the movie, when you introduce yourself and everything else, I was like, and everybody stood up, and you're like, how many NFL players are here? And like 10, 20 people stand up. And I was like, what? Where am I? This is crazy, right? So it was
Yeah.
just mind blowing to be in a room with everyone that was there, and everybody was so down to earth,
Mm-hmm.
willing to help the veteran community. And then after seeing that movie, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
That's the only phrase that I can say of the quality of people that you surround yourself with. They're amazing people.
I'll tell you, Yogi. I still hear from people and people that were there. What a great evening it was to have veterans there, to hear the story from Nate. That was the other neat thing is Nate goes, "Hey, I'll be there. I'll come and I'll talk about the movie." And to hear about the filming. And I'll tell you, the end was the one that got me. It was like during this filming, during this segment, this is who has passed away, self-inflicted. And then during by the time you see, I'm like, holy smokes, this is real stuff. And, we talk a lot about the similarities of former NFL players and people transitioning out of the service, but where it ends is that, yeah, we play a brutal game, it's a gladiator game, but we're not putting our lives on the line. There's been a couple of guys that have had some scary things this last season, but you know what I'm talking about. There's no guns and there's no, bullets being thrown at us. So, we have to keep that in mind. But that transition of losing the uniform on both sides, that's your identity. That's what you've, attained. And then you've been in it, and that's you. And then you lose that. You guys have drill sergeants and guys that are over you. We have coaches. We're both told where to be, what time to be, how to be, and what to be, and man, and there's no variance to it. Everything's taken care of for us. And then we have the locker room, and you guys have the barracks, and we have the team, and you have the squadron, the platoon. There's just so many similarities, and then we both have issues with transitioning, and we both suffer from some mental issues. Ours is, from ramming heads, and yours is from percussion, concussion, and just dealing with what you guys are dealing with, what you're having to do, So that's what I love too about the MVP. And then I know that Chris, you mentioned we're going to talk a little bit about the 1st and Goal project. and it's all about transition. And so, everything just ties in so neatly for me and what we're doing. It was a no-brainer for me to do that.
Yeah, and exactly what you said. We are leaving a tribe when we transition from the military, from the NFL. You're essentially leaving that brotherhood and you're stepping into a new realm. And that's a whole lot of like, oh my goodness, what am I going to be doing? What's next? Oh, well, there's like this guy's over here. I could be doing the show over here, or hey, I could go be a life and insurance salesman. I could be a realtor. Like, what is it that I'm going to be? And then, oh, by the way, I have to take care of all these other things. Well, I've had this not necessarily sheltered, but I've had an organized and structured life. Like I know my calendar, and now I don't know my calendar, and that's just a big transition. So
Well, I'll tell you another thing too, Chris, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this, is that we're both held in high regard by the public, but they don't know what to say to us. Like at the movie, when we're, because the guy said, "Hey, thank you for your service." I always do that, and
Yeah.
and then when Nate attacked him, and I'm like, yeah, because he is kind of corny, but I've always sincerely meant it. And so then when the movie was over, I wanted to thank him for their service. Like, well, man, should I say that? Nate goes, as long as you mean it, bro. So, and just like me, everyone wants to know locker room stories or about this guy and about that guy, and they really just don't know how to talk to us, and so that's a difficult
Right.
thing too.
It's one of those things, you're held in a pedestal and they don't know how to talk to you.
Yeah.
And the humanity of you gets almost like ripped away because now you're on this pedestal and you're just a different character. Which, speaking of that, I want to congratulate you for your nomination or your selection as the president.
Oh, thank you.
For the California chapter, correct? The Orange County chapter?
For Orange County. Yeah. I've been serving as vice president for 3 years, kind of just sitting behind the scenes, but you know how that is, doing the majority of the work. And so when it came up for elections, everybody at the head office in DC said, Dave, just run. You're doing all the work. The thing is, I always like to, I'm only a couple year guy, so I never want to, just inject myself. But one thing that we've been able to do, and I've been able to do, is help a lot of guys like me that aren't vested, but let them know about benefits and insurances and other things and things we could do in the community, like what we've been doing. And gosh, we all over the place down here, and we're out at penalty, and we're out just in the community and supporting the community, because the community doesn't care. We're 1, 2, 3, 4-year guys. They love the 10-year guys. They love the names, but they just love having, professional athletes at events, or talking to the kids, or, being a part of, any kind of charity or nonprofit function and bringing value.
yeah, brother, and you
Speaking
bring a
of
lot of
that,
value. You bring a lot of value to both
Thanks.
NFL and to the veteran side. What were you going to say, Yogi?
so speaking of that, you also got selected very recently for the Sideline Sports Network. I know you're super happy about that.
What's that?
The Sideline Sports Network.
Sideline
You
Sports.
got selected for that?
Yeah. So so as soon as we get done here, I'm going to hop on. We're doing every Tuesday night at 5:30. Well, 5:30 Pacific, at 8:30 East Coast, and all the cats I'm doing it with are in New York. So I told him, I go, look, it's Taco Tuesday, so I'm coming on, but I'm bringing tacos, And the other thing, I'll tell you, so the other thing, this is kind of funny. They want me because, I'm a former NFL guy, which is, I get it. That's cool. And I love doing it. I love to, just chop it up and stuff. I thought, well, gosh, I better get brushed up on current sports. So I watched the NBA All-Star game. I knew 2 cats. I knew like 2 players. I'm like, well, I have no idea what's going on, because I haven't watched the NBA for so long. I just like the NFL, there was a period there where it was tough to wear this hat. I remember showing up to a veterans event with an MC with a bike chapter. We were taking stuff to veterans at West LA, outside of West LA VA, the row there, and we were taking clothes and food, and there's a chapter that escorts us to make sure that everything was closed. There's a lot of women. And I walked up, and the guys go, hey, we don't care much for the NFL. And I'm like, I get it. Well, this is about 2 years ago. I go, I get it. I go, but I'm old NFL. I'm rocking back and forth to the national anthem. I'm a Patriot. So I get what's going on. It was got a little fuzzy there for a minute, and then that's a whole other topic. But I enjoy doing it.
The organizations, and that kind of brings back to like anybody that was in the Vietnam uh, era. When they came back, they were not greeted well. So realizing that 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 goes in fluxes. It goes up and down. Um, so just know like, hey, today we may be um around a grateful nation, but tomorrow it could flip like that. So yeah, man. Let's transition over to first and goal. What exactly does first and goal do? What is
Well,
this project all about?
yeah, so it was, gosh, it was one of the, so, and just so you know, guys, and I'm not going to preach at all, but I'm a God guy, and I just believe that, it's just, yeah. I was presented this opportunity to help a gal who had a company to help people transition. And so a mutual friend of mine who introduced me to her said, Dave, she really needs some help. And we had put an email blast out to all his network of former players. And basically it was just saying, are you having a hard time transitioning? Click here. And so he had 90 former players on one email click through, and then 16 guys enroll to an introduction to manufacturing course. And I come on board and I'm like, holy smokes, and she's promised me all this money and all this stuff. And we could do all these things. Well, it didn't take me long to figure out she had none of the things she promised. She didn't have any money. She didn't have any program. She had a really neat website, and that was it. And so, I'm calling these guys to get them to, I say, okay. And she wants to call them. I say, no, I'm going to call them because I can speak to them. And I allowed 15 minutes a call. And every single one of those call guys took over an hour. NFL guys say, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I took a job at Amazon Fulfillment just to pay the bills. Dave, this is the best phone call I've had in over a year. And I'm going, wow. I mean, if former NFL guys, 16 on one email are having that hard of a time transitioning, how many more people are? And so what happened is that all fell apart. And my buddy goes, why are you fixing her mess? Just do it yourself. So I hadn't worked for over a year because I'd been a part of 2 startups. I've been living off my savings for a year. I have no experience in this field other than, just my own transition. No job and no experience in job placement or anything like that. And like I said, very, very little money to start anything up with. And I'm like, I don't know, but okay, I'm going to. And I did. And the First and Goal project, how I came up with that name is that if you guys are sports guys, so so when a team is first and goal, their chance of success is 98%, which is a very high success rate, right? But when a team starts on their own 10-yard line, their chance of success is less than 10%. So how does a team get to be first and goal? Well, it takes hard work, it takes practice, coaching, being coachable, solid game plan, execution. And that's how you march down the field against an opponent and put yourself in the best chance of success. So that's what we're going to do for individuals is we're going to provide coaching through the form of mentoring. We're going to provide hard work and practice through certification and getting them, various credentials. So we are starting with a introduction to manufacturing and safety because it's high demand, higher income, no degree required for the majority of the applicants, and I forgot what else there was to it, but there's just a lot of opportunity. So we're starting with that. When they complete it, we're gonna get them their OSHA 10 card, which is about like $299 if you're to do it. My instructor is one of 3 in the country that are approved through OSHA to do that virtually. So now what we're doing with an individual that's struggling and looking for a job is we're getting them some introduction to this, and they go, okay, this is interesting to me. Well, I want to take a next step. I might want to apply. So we'll get them an OSHA 10 card. So we're trying to get them up on top of the pile of applicants by, doing this vetting process and placing them in a position of success or in a position of first and goal. And then we've aligned ourselves with 4 staffing companies to help place all of our people as they complete the program. And then I'll be launching my own staffing company as we develop and build things out. Because our next step is a financial services one. We've been having some discussions with Marshall Faulk about possibly structuring that and then getting them licensed through his firm. We'll see how that develops. I have other offers. So, but those are what we're going to do. We're going to continue to build those out in different areas, vet them through a certification process, which is our own. It's just some education. But I figured, guys, if you sit through, 3 to 5 hours and you get a certificate and you say, yes, I want to do that. Well, that's a pretty good applicant for somebody versus just somebody throwing applications at anything. Just go, yeah, I'll take that job. Yeah, I'll take that job. They've really they put some effort into it. And so, it's going to be a hopefully a really neat thing and a neat opportunity for folks that maybe have some barriers and don't have the means to even, pay a few $100 to get a license.
Yeah, the manufacturing process in America has definitely shown figures that it's actually going to be increasing drastically, especially if you're paying attention to anything over in Europe and Asia. With those kind of conflicts, it's going to boost our manufacturing. So there's actually going to be a big demand from what I've seen for manufacturing. So it's awesome.
There used to be a day, Chris, when we were the producers of the globe, and now we're the consumers. And I think that maybe it's time that we start bringing that back in house and not be so reliant on outside goods and services.
Yeah, brother, and this offers opportunities not only for the veteran community, but you also do you help out spouses of veterans and all that as well?
You know what? We're going to focus on areas that I have a lot of relationships within my network, because we're going to work with, of course, former athletes. Doesn't need to be professional athletes, just especially collegiate athletes. The guys, that put all this effort in and then they graduate with a degree that they're not going to ever use because they just stayed eligible with it. And then they didn't make it to the big leagues and then they get lost, So believe me, I'm one of them. I didn't even graduate from San Diego State. I was just very fortunate to be very successful as a financial advisor for 20 years and did very well. But not everyone's that fortunate. So athletes, and those are just, easy areas to initially focus on. But I will tell you, we're also going to help other demographics, people coming out of incarceration, people coming out of treatment, rehab, domestic violence, trafficking. Those people, those latter ones are people that have some barriers. First of all, they're trying to get past their stuff, and they're trying to start completely over and don't have the means or the wherewithal to figure this out. Well, hopefully by going through our program, we can empower them and then help and guide them and help them get better paying jobs and change their social economic situation and break down the barriers by giving them some, like I said, some empowerment and some hope.
So what are ways that someone can help you partner up with you and help you push this project even further than what you already have?
Yogi, it's amazing. Everyone brings in like a different talent or a different thing or advice or affiliation. And so I just say, just reach out to me. I'm hoping you guys will throw up my email address. It's Dave at the 1st&Goal project.com, and just say, gee, Dave, how can I help? And, the first thing I always say is, well, what can I do to, bring value to what you're doing? Let's make a difference together. It's not a one-way street, but, certainly looking for people that, are in areas that, have access to folks that could use some help. We are a nonprofit. We are just starting. So, that's why we're doing our huge golf tournament to raise some funds to get this thing off the ground. I've been very fortunate to have some really good friends that give me a few dollars to get our first set of certification done, the introduction to manufacturing, which should be done next week. So, we're just plugging along. Again, we're just getting started.
So this golf tournament that you have, let's get some more information out so we can put that out.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, when this thing came, kind of thinking about it, and then when you attach an Anthony Munoz to something, immediately, it validates it because, first of all, not just being a great player, that is a great man. If you've not ever met him, I've got to know him over the years. Just a fantastic man. Does great stuff. So, and then getting Nate involved in it, and then all of a sudden we start adding these celebrities. We got Timu Solani, Adam Kennedy, Byron Scott, John Barry, possibly Marshall Faulk, We're waiting to hear from Tony Baselli, Hall of Famer, Andre Reed, Hall of Famer, and Jared Bunch, who was in the movie, played for the Giants. He was in the MVP movie. I forget what he played. Yep. And Jared was there that night. So Jared's coming to play. Yeah. And then we have some great actors, the guys from the Mayans TV show. I don't know if you're familiar with the Mayans, a spinoff from Sons of Anarchy. So Amelia Rivera and Frankie Loyal, Michael Irby, and Jonathan, Joseph Lucero are coming. Mikel Vega. I don't know if you know who he is. Navy SEAL, Purple Heart, 2 bronze medal of valors, and then started Transformers 3 and 4. And he was on the Mayans too. And now he's the director for Call of Duty. And he's just going to come hang out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I just got off the phone like a couple days ago with Anthony Michael Hall from 16 Candles and Breakfast Club. And I don't know if you remember. Yeah. So he's not young anymore, you know. And he goes, bro, he goes, I'm a Patriot. You had me in on veterans. I'm in. And these guys are all, there's no appearance fees. These guys are all coming to be a part, to create value for veterans. And then what's really neat, what we're doing is we have 2 Valor holes set up. And those are for guys that just don't want to play or can't play. And they'll be hosted all day long. And they can hang out, cheer, boo, heckle, whatever they want to do. But just be there, be present. We have some golfing spots that are sponsored. And I still have some available for golfers, you know, because it's $500 to play, you know, as a single, or $2,000 for a foursome. And so, but if there's a veteran that wants to come and participate, just let me know, because we have some spots available for that. And it's about veterans. Everything that we're doing there is about creating awareness of CarePossible. I'll run down the list of CarePossible provides counseling. Randy Moratis, great friend of mine, counseling and treatment counseling for veterans and their families for free. And then there's Veterans Legal Institute, VLI, was founded by Antoinette Balta. And they provide free legal advice. And I mean, they'll represent veterans to get housing and benefits. And you know how difficult that can be. And a lot of the guys don't have the wherewithal to be able to pay for those services. She provides it for free. And she's a rock star. Penny Lambright has Patriots and Paws. And she has just this huge warehouse full of household items, furniture, artwork, tables, you know, anything you can need for a kitchen. And all a vet has to do is show up with a truck and say, I need a couch, I need a fridge, I need plates, I need a dining room table or a coffee, whatever you need. You just shop, you just go and get stuff, and there's no red tape or bureaucracy. And then the last one, of course, is MVP. MVP is going to be one of our benefactors. So we need to raise a lot of money, because we need to delve it out to these worthwhile programs.
Yeah, you just mentioned a whole bunch of programs that are pretty awesome for our community, for your community. And I really hope that the listeners that are out there are going to attend. Yeah, this is so important to us that we are actually going to air this as a special within the next week.
Awesome.
So,
thanks.
This is what we love about this, is how our communities can collide and collaborate with each other, and being around people like you, people that care about not just their own community, but the entire community, because you could tell that you got a big heart, man. So it's great to be around you, man.
Well, I appreciate that, you know, and I'll tell you guys, you know, this is, you know, male egos. I mean, when I start, you know, telling people, all these great people I'm speaking to, my daughter, you know, she goes, all my friends, you know, ask, you know, how come your dad is cooler than you are? So it's easy to get an ego about everything I'm able to do. I just spent all week at Super Bowl events, and then went to every event. And getting back to just, you know, I pray to God, I go, just, you know, if this is to glorify you, then just keep pushing me along and keep me in check, because, you know, I got an ego, you know, and son of a gun, if I don't get, you know, I do morning walks, and that's kind of when I do my praying, and I get back and there's a new foursome, or there's a new sponsor that, you know, Adidas sent me $14,000 worth of duffel bags for my swag bag. You know, I mean,
oh wow,
yeah. And so Travis Matthew, I got 250 Travis Matthew hats for everybody. and they gave me just, I mean, it's just a swinging deal, and everyone's just bending over backwards to help. The food is off the chart. If you drink, you're going to be in good shape, because we got tequila, we got whiskey, we got bourbon, we got gin, we got seltzers, we got beer, we got and water. And so, you know, it's just going to be, everyone's going to be full and have whatever it is that they want to have a good time.
The
Man, that sounds
best question is, you have Gatorade?
So Pepsi is supposed to be donating Gatorade and water. Yeah, we're waiting to hear back from them.
if only we could get the water boy there to serve the Gatorade.
Perfect.
Brother, it's been really awesome. And before we get to the final questions, and do you have any saved rounds or alibis?
I'm sorry.
Any saved rounds or alibis? It's whatever we say before we pretty
wrap
much
everything up.
shift. Yeah, we start wrapping everything up. Save rounds and alibis.
Well, an alibi sounds like I need an excuse to get out of something, but you know, and maybe 8 years ago I would have needed one. But I'll tell you what, man, everything couldn't be better. Very, very blessed, and I thank God every day for my life, and not forgetting about me, and not quitting on me.
Nice, man. You know, that's, whew, I'm a man of faith as well, and God's been really great. And you know, I typically don't run around talking about it too much, and it's probably one of my faults, is that I don't give him enough praise. And you know, it's great to hear people like you that inspire me to, you know, dole out the praise when it's greatly needed. So with that, let's get into our final questions.
All right.
One more thing before we get to that point. Dave, I want to thank you personally for being a great catalyst to my personal life. Being in that room that day, it started a massive change of events in my life, to include this podcast. It was, how can we help our veteran community? How can we help our service members be ready to transition? So you have been a great inspiration in this portion of our lives, and I personally want to share that with you here in the air. And I feel a very strong connection with your goals and what you're trying to do, and going forward. And with that also being said, I want to congratulate you and Anne Marie for your engagement, because it is, I was beyond words when I saw that too. So congratulations, man.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Yoga. You know, for, that meant a lot. So that's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah, man. I was gonna do my thanks at the end, but brother, like,
hey, people see me. I'm 6'6", I'm 280 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of big. You know, but I'm a softie, man.
Just a little bit.
Don't get me all choked up on the air, bro.
Bro, you got like
That's not even
like
right.
you got like two
That's not even
feet on
right.
Yogi, man. You got 2
Oh,
feet on Yogi,
man.
brother. Hey, but seriously, man, thanks for coming on here. You know, we starting out this journey, it was kind of like, how do we have the authority to be able to do this? And you know, speaking back on to what God told me, you know, hey, you know, do it. Like, I'm telling you, it's what you're meant to do. You're meant to help others. And if you don't feed that part of yourself, as you know, you'll end up, you know, in a dark place. So when you're around other people that are eating the same thing or helping other people's their jam, you know, it just inspires you to do greater. And looking at you and looking at where you come to where you're at today, brother, you know, shoot, you didn't even play you didn't even play football when you first started playing sports. You were a basketball player, from what I understand.
I wasn't even very good at football.
Yeah, and you know, not very good to a professional to a great man, to inspire others around him. So I would like to get into the book section before we start making you cry.
All right. You guys are brutal.
Bro, what is your favorite book and or podcast that you recommend people?
So this is my favorite podcast. Yeah, I don't I don't actually listen to podcasts. I am asked to be a guest on a lot of them, and I tell you this one was a very enjoyable to do, and I just like the comfort of it, and I appreciate what you guys are doing and bringing awareness to the veteran community of access to people that just love them and want to appreciate them. You know, this is not pity. This is not, this is appreciation. And if there's anything we can do to help, we appreciate what you've done for us. So, and I'm going to say thank you guys for your service. And I can do that comfortably because I actually, I 100% mean it. You know that. So, are we at the book? Are we talking about the book?
Oh yeah, we're talking
A
about
favorite book. All right, favorite book. So I'm going to tell you, and this is really, it's kind of emerged. It was a book I loved as a kid, and it's 1984. But when I read it, it was fiction, and now it's more of a documentary. I mean, it's okay. There's not a corner you can't be without a camera on you. The government is changing history. There, I mean, I got to go on and on. I actually want to reread it. I'm getting my daughter. She's an avid reader. I'm like, I'm going to tell you, you want to be scared. And that cat wrote that, I think, in 1932 or 36, or what? I mean,
something like that.
Yeah, that's just crazy how spot on it. I mean, it's on and on and on. And so I like that. My other favorite book is It by Stephen King. I love books with kids, and really, if you've read that book, it's really thick, and it's just about the imagination of kids and how they were dealing with this clown and all this stuff. Lord of the Flies is a good one, and so I like those. I like those kind of things. In my most recent book, a dear friend of mine, Dr. Betty Uribe, wrote a book called #Values, and it just gets you to evaluate your life and what your values are, and are you living them? And that's, I think, an important thing. Your character is really all you have. Reputation is what people think you are, but your character is what you are.
Nice, man. Nice. Bro, I like the fact that you actually chose some books that will inspire your imagination. Well, maybe not the 1984 anymore, but and I remember reading that in high school, thinking, oh, I'm like, oh man, this isn't gonna happen.
Yeah,
And
this is crazy. Yeah, this is like George Jetson. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then that was one of the most scariest movies I ever watched as a kid. But I remember the things I remember out of it is that the bond that those kids had that was pretty unbreakable. So second question I got for you: advice that you would give your 18-year-old self.
Here's what's here. There's kind of a dual-edged sword question, because most people would say, okay, avoid all the stuff that you did that was dumb. When I pray, I thank God for those things, because those are the things that made me the guy I am today, and that allow me to go and make a difference in other people's lives. And so I don't know if that's advice to give someone. Just go ahead and go be an idiot and make a bunch of dumb mistakes and botch a blessed life. But I'll tell you what, the book I'm writing is called Benched. I got benched playing football, and I got benched in life. I made it to a park bench, completely spiritually, emotionally, and financially bankrupt. And since I asked God back into my life and trusted God, my life, I mean, look at what, you guys have me on. I'll tell you what, 8 years ago, you wouldn't have me on your show. Well, of course, because I was on a park bench, but but there's a lot of other things, in the comeback story. So, what advice? It's just, it all is what made me I am today. I probably would just shut up and just go figure it out.
Brother.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's well said, man. I definitely agree with you on everything you just said, brother. Like
Thanks.
that was 100. #100 on that.
#100. You know,
So,
hey, you know what's crazy? So when you say
yeah.
that, we are regressing so bad. You know, everything is an acronym, and everything is we're getting back to hieroglyphics. You know, I text my daughter, and all they are like figures and faces and arms and pieces, and I'm like, what happened to the words? Where are all the words? Yeah.
People are going to look back at this time and be like, oh, it's the ancient Egyptians.
Yeah.
They evolved.
Yeah. Pound sign
Oh,
100. All right.
Any save rounds or alibis now
No, we
For the
already
second
went
time.
for the second time.
for
Yeah.
the second time. Boy, I
Don't worry.
didn't have any the first time. So,
No,
no.
I'm going to edit out the first one.
Oh, well, then it was good.
Yeah, that's no, that's great. Thanks for coming on, brother. And to pretty much summarize it to everybody, hey, 1st&Goal, they're out there. They're here to help veterans, NFL players, uh, who are all transitioning out. They'll help pretty much anybody into the
Absolutely.
manufacturing world. Don't miss the golf tournament that's happening. Can you shout out the dates again?
March 20th.
March 20th.
Yep. Registration 9:00. Come hungry. We got breakfast burritos. We got a Bloody Mary bar. We have a full bar. George Lopez's Danishes. Wing Lamb's fish tacos is gonna be on the course, and then we got paella afterwards, and we've got Solstice with their gourmet sliders and you're in booze all day long. So it's all good, and it's all for the veterans, guys. We're gonna raise a lot of money for them and support those programs we talked about.
So with 1st&Goal, your success rapidly increases by 98%. So get with them and they'll help you all the way. All right, everybody. It's not rainbows and unicorns out there. So take charge of your transition.
Right on.
And take care.
Thanks, guys.
Do us a solid. Share this content with everyone you know, regardless if they're associated with the military or not. This content will help someone you know and hopefully will lessen the deadly gap after service. Our goal is to do whatever we can to reduce the number of suicides from 22 to 0 within the community. Give us a 5-star review, follow, like, and subscribe. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, and you can follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram for more content from our guests. These are our personal experiences, and we do not represent the views of the United States Navy and or the Department of Defense. Your transition is ultimately up to you. Please do your research and ask questions. Use Master Chief Google or ask a friend and network within the community that you belong to. Return to Roots out.
Hey, okay, so when I did my podcast, my biggest achievement was hitting record. The fact I could figure it out. And I had a buddy with my co-host who was like 27, and I'm the one, trying to navigate this technology, and really it was like I cheered myself every time I got record. So
well, Yogi scolds me if I don't let him record at the same time.
all right.
He's like he'll start like blowing up my phone, being like, "Hey, you didn't let me record, man."
So there was one episode that we recorded and it was chopped off because someone forgot to hit record again. And I had both of the recordings, luckily.
This guy or that guy?
So, I mean, that kind of saved everything. So since then, it was like, I'm recording no matter what. But anyways, let's introduce.